I think she'll be really excited about that. Way to kick off the Gophers for this meet. She had some good block on that vault, meaning she got really high up in the air off of that table. So I think that's what the judges are looking for, and she followed it by a good landing.
So this is a dual meet tonight, so we're basically going to be alternating between the two events and between the two teams. So now we have Morgan Wilson on the bars for ASU.
Very nice giant full to a giant half and a straddle Jaeger.
Yeah, good Jaeger. She takes her time on those handstands, really make sure the judges see that she's up there.
So far, she's really getting those handstands, being aggressive. Just a giant full to a double tuck. And a step on that landing, but otherwise a very solid start for the Sun Devils.
Yeah, good lines.
They'll be happy with that routine. Up next, we'll take a look at Sierra Gardner on the vault. Kicking her senior night off. Another good vault for the Gophers. They've worked on those landings, I know, in practice a lot. That's one of the main things that the judges are looking for is a solid landing.
We'll see a lot of those Yurchenko full vaults tonight, and so it really comes down to height, distance, form in the air, and honing in on those landings. We'll also see, hopefully, some more some vaults that are what Babs did, a forward, a handspring on, either pike or tuck off, and some sort of twist. Those typically start at a 10-0, while a Yurchenko full normally starts at a 9.95.
Here we will have a look at Justine Kalis. This is always a little bit tough when the judges take a little bit longer than expected to calculate their score and come at their, or just agree on a final score for the previous gymnast, and you end up standing there kind of letting your nerves simmer.
Yeah.
So we'll see how she handles it today.
It's not a fun position to be in, but they definitely do train for scenarios like this. You want to be able to do your gymnastics anytime, anywhere, any place. So
her teammate before her got a 9.825, which is a good way to start off the meet. A little bit short on that cast handstand. And a Tkachev to a bail and straight up to a sit-up or a
toe hect.
Toe hect.
That's what I used to call it, at least.
There are many terms for these skills in gymnastics. And a
double
layout dismount.
Almost had it.
She really fought for that landing, but ended up needing to take that little hop forward. Here we have Kristen Qualia, a sophomore for the Gophers. She's been doing excellent this year on the vault. I think she's broken her personal record probably 3 times this year. It's been great to see her really flourish in this position. Very nice vault. She had really good position in that air. I think she was a little bit off to the side of the table, which is not ideal for the judges. They want to see you square in the middle. But overall, I think it'll be a great score for the Gophers.
Yeah. You'll see a lot in elite meets, or when you watch gymnastics on the Summer Olympics, that they'll have lines on the mat, and they'll deduct whether you're not perfectly straight on these lines. Here in this college meet, we don't have those lines, so they could get away with getting a little bit offside, but
the judges have to eyeball it. They don't have those lines telling them where they're supposed to be. But a score update for you: Lexi Montgomery went 9.75, as well as Sierra Gardner with a 9.75 before Kristen Qualia, who we just saw. Here we will see Caitlin Safransky, the first of the 2 sisters on the Sun Devils.
Really solid first handstand.
And that's a ray. That's a very difficult release move, but she performed it very well.
A little bit of leg separation on that bail. Gearing up for her giant full double back dismount.
And she finds the stick. Very nice for the Sun Devils. They'll be excited about that one.
Up next on the vault for the Gophers, we have senior Hannah Hitchcock. Really good height and distance. She's been working on that. A little bit, had to step on that landing.
She had too much momentum, I think, yeah. But overall, a very nice vault for Hannah. An update, Kristen Qualia scored a 9.8, and Justine Kalis for the Sun Devils went with 9.6. So far, it looks like this meet is going to be a tight one. But
I agree.
We've only seen a couple of routines, so a lot can change here, folks.
We have the second of the Safransky sisters, Ashley, coming up on bars right now. Great first handstand. She has really beautiful lines.
Yeah.
And a great Shaposhnikova into a packed salto.
A little short on that last cast handstand.
That was cool. A toe on half to switch to the other side.
Yeah, very unique. Nice routine composition.
She really wings out that double leg. That was a great landing.
That was a great landing. You can tell by the expression on her face, she knew that was solid.
Yeah, that was a great routine for the Sun Devils.
Her sister before her went 9.775, a great score to build off of for Ashley.
And on to Alexi Ramler on the vault.
And that is why she is so well known amongst the NCAA. She just finds those landings, such clean lines in the air. I mean, you can't ask for much more than that.
How many times has Alexi been named Big Ten Freshman of the Year this year?
Oh, goodness. I think about 5 times, and we'll take a look at here why. I mean, she just, no form breaks. Her feet don't move. I think the judges are going to be hard-pressed to find a deduction there.
Agreed. They were hard-pressed to find a deduction on bars, too. We have a 9-9 from Ashley Safransky.
There you go. I'm loving it.
We have Ann Coombe for ASU on the bars right now. She does a kip hop to a straddle Jaeger.
That was beautiful. That had a lot of distance from the bar. Her legs are glued together. Gearing up for her dismount. Double A.
Wow.
Just a small
Amazing.
step on that landing. Almost a shuffle is what I would say. Maybe like a tenth, half-tenth.
Yeah, Anne was a French Olympian.
How amazing is that?
Yeah, she made the trip out to Arizona and is now on ASU.
She's been doing well. There you go.
Now we have senior Abby Demuse ready to do her Yurchenko full.
She does a Yurchenko layout
instead,
which will not start from a normal 9.95 as those Yurchenko fulls before her have, but I think it's great. It's her senior night. She got to compete. I think that's what the Gophers wanted, and they did well with their other vaults. So I think they're just excited to see her competing.
Just wrapping up with ASU on the bars with the standout freshman, Cairo.
Very nice first handstand.
It's a big release, another ray.
Huge ray. Very nice bail to handstand there.
I don't think she straddled in that toe hecht.
That was very cool. I liked it.
At least the angle where we're at.
Right.
That was amazing. In a super high hi-ho.
The hi-ho. Yeah. A flyaway, well, full in.
Half in, half out. There's many names, many names.
But followed by the exclamation point of a stick on that dismount.
Yeah, that was a great routine.
Putting the extra cherry on the top. And it looks like we will have an exhibition from the Sun Devils as they are setting up the bars for a 7th competitor. And this 7th spot is pretty special. It does not count towards the team score. However, it's a way for coaches to kind of put a 7th person into that competition lineup, see how they do under pressure, and potentially have them as a backup in case something goes wrong and you need to put somebody in the lineup last minute, or just change up your lineups and see what works best.
Yeah, and it's great for these girls to come out and get experience on the events that they could potentially be competing soon, especially as they're heading into postseason conference meets. You really want to make sure your lineups are, most of the time teams have their lineups dialed in by now, but always want to make sure that 7th, 8th person is ready to go in case anything happens.
It's always good to have that depth in a lineup. It's important. It pushes the girls who are in the current lineup to be better, to try to fight for their spots, really make those fine details even finer, just really hone in on the details and make sure that you're getting all of those tenths that you can.
Yeah. As we're waiting for the exhibition spot, we can do a quick score wrap-up. Lexi Ramler got a 9.85 on vault, and Abby Demuse a 9.55.
And Ann Coombe for the Sun Devils went 9.875, which is huge. And there you see the exhibitionist for the Sun Devils. She did a huge Tkachev and ended up hitting her foot on the bar, which is a break in the composition. So that will be a deduction, as well as on that bail she had a little bit of a leg separation. But I love to see the fight. She never fell off of the apparatus.
Really great double A.
Very solid double A. And a step on the landing, but otherwise it's a great routine. So after the first event, we have the Sun Devils at a 49.25 and the Gophers at a 48.925.
Yeah, Cairo got a 9.875 on bars.
That's great. So far, she's tied for the highest score on that event with her teammate, Ann Coombe.
Ashley Savrinsky actually is a 9.9, so they are right
a
touch under.
You are correct. I missed that one.
No, totally fine. Just some high scores over there.
Yeah, they started out their meet very well.
As we're transitioning into this second event, we can talk a little bit about how the gymnasts decide what skills are going to be in their routine. So for bars, they need a major release move, which means that they come off of the bar, do some sort of flip or twist, and then re-catch the bar. They also need some sort of transition move from high to low bar and low to high bar.
Yes, and somehow you have to get on the bar, and so sometimes you can have a mount that actually counts as a transitional movement.
True.
So you'll see some of the gymnasts jump over the low bar just to catch the high bar, and that's how they actually start their routine. You also will need some type of turning movement in your routine, whether that's in one of those transitional movements called a bail, or in pirouetting movements. So where you're staying on one bar, usually you end up in a cast handstand and you do some form of like 360 or half rotation of your body and end up swinging out of it. And finally, you have to get off of the apparatus somehow. And so in a dismount, they're looking for a relatively difficult dismount or a combination of a skill into potentially a less difficult dismount. And some of those that we saw from the Sun Devils were a double layout. We saw the high-ho, or the half in, half out. as well as combination movements such as a giant full to a double tuck. And so that double tuck dismount isn't quite difficult enough as its own, but when you connect it into a difficult turning move, then it adds value, and you can get up to that 10.0 start value.
And what's nice about collegiate and optional gymnastics is that they can decide what skills work best for them. If they try a release move over and over again, it's just not working for them, they can try another one that they are going to be more successful at and put that in their routine.
And some of the gymnasts here have some of that elite experience, and so they can almost do every skill in the book. And so they can just really pick the ones that they know are going to be, or that they can perform to the best of their abilities to have the least amount of deductions and just perform it to the highest level in order to get as close as possible to that perfect 10.
Yeah, it's really important in college gymnastics to have skills that are just perfect.
Right.
You're looking to get a 10. That's your goal. And that does rarely happen, but your ultimate goal is to give your routine as perfect as possible. Versus you'll see in the Olympics and elite gymnastics is that they have that difficulty score too. So they will throw maybe some bigger skills that they might get a slight deduction on, but it makes up for the chance of actually doing the skill.
Right, there's a way to counteract kind of making potentially a couple of minor mistakes.
The risk to reward.
Yes.
The ratio is just spot on.
Ronnie's business degree coming out.
Yes, thank you, Carlson School of Management. The ROI on that skill is...
But in all seriousness, collegiate gymnastics is great, and it teaches you to really just focus on the details, make sure you know what you're doing, emphasize your strengths. And speaking of that, you can, more often than not in collegiate gymnastics, it's more acceptable to specialize in events. And your hosts today, Babs and Ronnie, we were both specialists. So we competed in all 4 events in high school, but then ended up focusing in on our strengths in college. So for me, that meant vault and floor, and for Ronnie, that was floor and beam. Beam was her baby. She was great at it.
I liked beam a lot and floor a lot. I love gymnastics.
I love gymnastics.
But yeah, beam's it's a hard event to compete. I liked practicing it, I think, more than I liked competing it, but I did enjoy competing it. Babs was a pretty stellar vault and floor worker as well.
Oh, I loved them. Vault was fun because it was over and done within about 10 seconds.
Very quick.
And floor, I just loved hamming that routine up. You got to just express yourself and play with the crowd a little bit. We'll get to see what I mean in a little bit when the teams take the floor.
Right now they're just getting the last 50 seconds of their 4-minute touch warm-up. So how it kind of works is they come here, 2-3 hours before the meet starts?
I'd say 2.
Yeah, get the tape on the ankles, get warmed up, and then they do 15-minute rotations on every event, and that is their longer warm-up. They will fit all of their skills in there. Then once the meet starts, they get a 4-minute touch on that event, which basically equates to 1 turn per gymnast, just to refresh and warm up a little bit and get ready to go.
Kind of get your bar swing back or your vault sprint back. Just kind of get in the mode of that specific event again. You know you can do the skills that are in your routine. It's just kind of getting that muscle memory back into play. We can run through the lineups real quick for you. So for the Gophers on the bars, we will have Selena Ung, followed by Kristen Qualia, then Rachel Rowland and Hannah Hitchcock, collectively known as the Pals, followed by Lexi Ramler, and finishing up with Ivy Liu.
On the vault for ASU, we're starting out with Caitlin Savrinsky, Jessica Jin, Ann Coombe, Cairo Leonard Baker, Morgan Wilson, and anchoring Gracie Rushton.
First on the vault for Arizona State's Caitlin Savrinsky.
really high Yurchenko full.
And a very nice landing. That was awesome. If that's how they're going to start off this rotation, I'm excited to see what they have in store for us.
Totally. I'm excited. Wow, we got a 9-8 from one judge. That's a really great score to start off the lineup. A lot of the times that the leadoff spot is so important because you want someone that's consistent and has a really great routine, or in this case, vault. And to start up with that, that means ASU is going to be able to build on their score further and further into the lineup.
Here we have a look at Selena Ung, a sophomore for the Gophers on the bars. Great first handstand. Straddle Jaeger. Very nice bail to handstand. Maybe some slight leg separation in there. Finishing up with a double layout and a small hop on the landing, but truly, I think that was one of the best routines I've ever seen from Selena Ung.
Yeah.
That was great. I'm really proud of her. Heading back to the vault, we have Jess Ginn for the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Wow.
She really found that landing. That was a great vault.
That was great.
I think she twisted it a little bit early off of the table.
Yeah.
They're looking really for you to get kind of that height before you twist, but otherwise I think it was a very great vault.
Yeah, I think that was probably the most solid landing we've seen tonight.
Update, Caitlin Sospransky before her went 9.775. Up next for the Gophers, we will have Kristen Qualia, the sophomore out of Minnesota.
Kristen Qualia for the Gophers. Kristen was in that leadoff spot most of last season and most of this season. Into a piked Jaeger, straight into a shoot over.
A little short on that last cast handstand. Into a giant full and a tuck double back.
Just a small hop on the landing, but it hit routine.
I can tell that she's gotten more confident over the years.
Yeah.
She really knows that she's going to hit that routine, which is crucial. I mean, if you know you're going to hit, that's half the battle, I think, in college gymnastics.
Yeah, totally. We have Ann Coombe. Beautiful.
Very beautiful vault, yeah. Her legs were perfectly glued in the air. She found that landing very nicely. I think her chest was maybe a little bit low on that landing, but otherwise, great performance.
Yeah, you can tell she has that elite experience because her legs and her toes are just, her legs are glued together, her toes are pointed.
Absolutely. A sign of a polished athlete.
Yes, yes.
Selena Ung for the Gophers started them off with a 9.725. And Jessica Jin came out with a 9.825 on that amazing stuck vault. Up next, we will see Rachel Rowland in her senior night routine.
Senior year for college gymnasts is always the bittersweet. A lot of these girls have been doing gymnastics for 18 years, and it culminates down to the last few meets. So this is their last time in a regular season meet at the Cav. She starts off with a gigantic Jaeger. Holy moly.
Straight into that bail. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody who flies higher than her on that skill. And getting it with those great handstands and a dismount that she finds the landing, stuck, dismount. Holy moly, she'll be excited if you can't tell.
That was amazing.
The crowd is on their feet. Everybody's excited. Here we have a look at freshman phenom Cairo.
Wow, she really opens up that Yurchenko.
Yeah, she really says, I'm done with my twist, and I'm going to look for that landing. And she ended up needing a step on that landing, but otherwise, a great vault. I'm very impressed with these Sun Devils on this event. Her teammate before her, Ann Coombe, went 9.775. They have yet to score below that. I believe Rachel Rowland
got a
just
career high.
Got a career high, 9.875.
What a thing to do on senior night.
I love it.
We see her mom in the stands, and she is just going wild.
Here we have her pal, Hannah Hitchcock.
It's a great clear hip to a Ginger. Solid. Into a bail. Perfect handstand. Way to go. Just gearing up for her dismount.
One of those high-hos.
Yes, got a high-ho.
And she finds that landing.
Yes.
The pals go 1-2 for the Gophers.
Wow. What a routine for senior night.
I have chills. I mean, those seniors have come so far. And here we have another look at that amazing dismount. Just watch. Her feet do not move.
Boom.
Bam.
Look at
and
that.
her chest is so upright. I mean, no deductions on that. Here we go with Morgan Wilson for the Sun Devils. Another great vault. A little bit too much power, and she had to take that step backwards.
Yeah, that'll probably be a 2/10 step, I'd say.
Cairo before her went 9.8. I mean, these Sun Devils are just showing that they're ready to play.
Yeah. I think we might hit a career high for Hannah Hitchcock as well with a 9.9.
I think it's a 9.925.
Is it?
It might be.
Hold
we
on.
will keep you updated, folks. It is a 9.925 for a senior Hannah Hitchcock on senior night. The judges are showing the seniors some love. I love it.
Yeah.
They're earning these scores. I'm
Yeah.
not saying anything about that. But
No, they totally are.
going from senior to freshman, Lexi Ramler. Freshman
Into
phenom.
A beautiful packed salto. Watch this awesome release move we got coming up. A Spash half.
Very difficult move, and she does it with such ease.
Just a toe on, toe off, straight to a high ho. Almost finds that landing.
Small hop. Yeah, I would maybe half 10th.
Yeah, yeah.
But other than that dismount, I found no deductions in that routine. Moving right along, we have Gracie Rushton here to round out the Sun Devils on the vault.
Oh, she has a tuck full.
A tuck Yurchenko full. I believe that still starts from a 9.95.
Does it?
It's kind of difficult, though, to twist in that tucked position.
Yeah, I'd say so. You don't get as much. You have to have a little bit more. So with the Yurchenko full, you can get off the table a little bit more and just automatically twist. Then you have to get off the table, tuck, and twist. So it's a little bit harder.
And rounding out the Gophers for the bars, we will have sophomore Ivy Liu.
Ivy had a 10 on beam 2 weekends ago,
Yes, 2 weekends ago.
along with a 9.975, so a 10 from one judge. So let's see if she can pull out a really beautiful routine tonight.
And the score for Lexi Rambler was a 9.675. I'm not quite sure what they saw.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I'm assuming the head coach Jenny Hansen will inquire about that one. We have Ivy Lou on the bars. Toe on, toe off to a chapache. Into a pack salto. Perfect pivot.
That's
That was
about the best I've
amazing.
seen her do
Yeah.
that. She really ended in that handstand, which is what the judges are looking for. Gearing up for that dismount. Double layout,
Boom.
stuck. The crowd in the stands is on their feet, going wild. They're yelling for a 10.
They're yelling a 10. I'm going to be honest.
team wants
it
a
seems
10.
like a 10.
We'll see if it will be the first 10 in the
Ever
PAV
In the PAV.
ever.
The PAV seems to be a little sparse with their 10s. But
I'm crossing
hopefully
my fingers.
We can see one tonight. That'd be an exciting night.
I feel like this is a special night.
As we're waiting on vault, Arizona has a 48.95, a great rotation for them. Ending off with Cairo with a 9.8, Wilson with a 9.775, and Gracie Rushton with a 9.675.
And Ivy Lou scores a 9.95, so not
Close,
that perfect
close.
10. She'll still have to fight for that one, but overall the Gophers will be happy with their event score on the bars. Once that 9.95 gets added into their team score, we will update you. It brings them to a total on the event of a 49.25. And overall, it is a tight meet here. The Sun
Wow.
Devils with a 98.2 and the Gophers with a 98.175. 25 thousandths of a 10,
Yeah, you can't
or
get
of a point.
yeah, you can't get any closer than that.
That's a pointed toe.
That's less than a pointed toe.
Less than a pointed toe.
I think. Yeah.
One judge taking
Yeah.
a half tenth for a
One
pointed toe.
judge possibly taking a big toe point. Just the big toe.
And here we will see an exhibition from
Wow.
Becca Taylor. And she, folks, I don't think you understand how difficult that release move that she does right off the bat is. She's hopping off of the bar and turning her hands backwards on the bar. It's an E release move, and she will be so excited about that routine.
Her teammates are so happy for her. Becca worked so hard in the gym, and just to see her hit that routine tonight is amazing.
It's so great to see. She's really come a long way.
Yeah, she's only a sophomore.
I'm excited to see where her
Oh.
career takes her in the next 2 years.
Totally.
And the rest of this year. We're not done. It's senior night, but they still have a couple meets left to go.
Yeah, they have 4 more meets until they are back in the PAV. So the Gophers are hosting a regional championship. How that works is the top 36 teams in the NCAA rankings get seeded into 6 different regional locations. So 6 teams at 6 locations, and the top 2 teams from each location qualify to NCAA Nationals. So it's really difficult for teams to qualify to NCAA Nationals, but the Gophers have the ability to host regionals this year. So that's
And
an exciting feat.
I would consider that is an advantage for the Gophers because they'll be competing on their home apparatus and getting, like, the home crowd and everything. I mean,
Yeah.
there's something to say there.
And last time they hosted regionals in 2016, they made it to the NCAA Nationals.
Yes,
Which
we
we were on that team.
both on that team,
And that
it
was
was
fun.
quite an event and quite a memorable experience. And speaking of that amazing team, we have a guest on our show.
We have legend Lindsay Mabel on the show.
Hello.
Welcome, Lindsay.
Thanks for having me.
So what do you think of the meet so far?
I think there's a ton of energy in the PAV right now, and it's well-deserved. Both teams look really awesome, and I've been super impressed, especially that bar rotation. That was incredible. I think the sticks were contagious, and they were all really solid. So it's been a very impressive meet so far, and I'm excited to see what the second 2 rotations hold.
Agreed with you. What do you think the Gophers need to focus on as they're going into beam?
I think just really staying grounded. I think there's a ton of energy in here, and on beam it's really easy to let that kind of creep in and get into the nerves, but they have so much training under their belts, and to just really rely on that instead of letting the atmosphere kind of feed into it too much. So from what I've seen so far, I'm incredibly impressed, and I know if they continue on that path that the end result will be fantastic.
Yeah, and how about those Sun Devils?
They look really good, too. I've been really impressed with Arizona State this whole season, and so to see them in person is awesome. They had a lot of dynamic vaults and some even sticks, so that's really awesome because controlling vault is really, really difficult in this type of environment, too.
Definitely.
So that was awesome.
And, folks, you will be able to hear Lindsay Mabel at the Big 5 Championships. So Lindsay got asked by the Big 10. A little bit, that's kind of confusing. So the Big 10 is the conference, but the gymnasts have a meet before Big 10s that basically allows them to get seeded into Big 10s called Big 5s. And that'll be on TV. And Lindsay will be commentating that. So
it will be. I think it's a really great opportunity for all the gymnasts in the Big 10 to kind of have a taste of postseason training and competition so that when they get to the Big 10 competition, they're used to the atmosphere, they're used to the buys, and it's nothing that they haven't already experienced. So,
yeah. Where is that hosted again?
The Big 5 that Minnesota will be at and that I'll be commentating is at Rutgers University.
Nice.
I believe the other one is at Michigan State. So,
okay.
2 separate locations competing on the same day. So, you'll have to tune into both and kind of go back and forth to both meets.
And Big Tens this year will be on podium.
And it's at Illinois in their new facility. They're really big new, I'm not sure the name of it, but it's a really nice facility, and I think it'll be a great place for Big Tens to take place with a lot of people in attendance and great practice on podium because it's a different bounce to the equipment than some gymnasts are used to when they haven't competed on that before.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, the SEC championships have been hosted on podium for years. So it's great that other conferences are starting to do that.
Yes, yeah, and I think it really prepares them for postseason at Nationals because Nationals is always on podium, and some teams, if they don't have exposure to that, you get to Nationals, and it's a big reality check for what the equipment feels like. Yeah. So I think more conferences rising to that level is a really, really essential part of breaking into the national competition, the Super 6 level. So.
Well, thank you so much, Lindsay, for coming in and talking at the Maturi Pavilion tonight.
Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. So thanks for letting me come chat for a little bit.
Definitely. So they're about to start their third rotation time warm-up. Here at the PAV, you will hear a sound of the loon. That is their cue to go. That is a Minnesota State bird, so they take great pride in that loon sound.
They sure do.
No matter how odd it sounds. But
it is very unique to the U here that they have something other than just a beep to say your time warm-up can start. But I think it's something that makes it special. It makes it feel like home for us. Knowing that little loon sound, which I think kind of sounds like a turkey, is, it's something that you can kind of have in the back of your mind is like, okay, I know that that's going to happen, and that's when I get to start my thing. It's fun. It's always interesting to go to other arenas and see their little traditions. I mean, some schools start all of their floor music with, say, a tiger growl or something similar to that.
Yeah.
And our thing is that we have a loon.
We can talk a little bit about the lineups you're about to see in this third rotation. On floor for ASU, we have Justine Callis, Heather Udowich, Jess Ginn, Caitlin Safrinsky, Ann Coombe, and ending with Corianne Belkoff.
And for the Gophers on the beam, we will have Lexi Montgomery, Mary Corlin Downs, Selena Ung, Ivy Liu, Sierra Gardner, and rounding out with Lexi Ramler.
Geraldine Stack Eaton Stanger now. She just got married to assistant coach Rich Stanger. And this last September has done a fantastic job with this beam team. I know she really focuses on confidence up there and instilling that confidence in each gymnast, because I mean they've been doing this for years and years and years, and they know how to do it. They just need to do it every time.
Right. And I think truly a big part of her position as kind of the beam coach is just building these athletes up, instilling that confidence. Like you said, I mean, if you go up there at all hesitant, that's
show.
all it needs. It'll show. You'll be a little bobbly. Maybe you'll even come off the beam. That was always my issue, is I never thought I was going to hit it, and I never did. So that's why you never saw me in this lineup. But, you know, beam is such a mental game. It's difficult doing those flips on that 4-inch piece of wood, but it's so much of a mentality that you need. More so, I would say, than a physical thing.
I'd agree with you. On floor, I think it's really about endurance and just showing it off and having a good time. These gymnasts make it look super easy. You'll see these ASU girls with a big smile on their face showing off their routines, but inside they are very tired.
Yes.
And you do a lot of training to make sure your endurance is up and ready to make sure that last pass is like your first pass.
Exactly. And you might think like, oh, maybe they just leave their easiest pass for last pass. But no, in your composition, you have to have an equal difficulty throughout your passes, actually. And if the judges notice that perhaps your last pass is significantly easier than your other passes, they will actually take a deduction. They'll say like, hey, you got to work on that. So endurance truly is key, but also having fun is the most important part. That's why these athletes are doing this. It's because they love it. As the Gophers say, love the battle.
Hashtag love the battle. Lexi Montgomery was a JO National Beam Champion. And so her being in this leadoff position as a freshman for the Gophers is really impressive. This leadoff position, I think especially on beam, you want to make sure that you're solid. You hit. The coaches see that you are consistent in practice. She also does a punch front tuck, which is a really fun skill. It's a blind landing.
It's very difficult, too, as you are landing on 2 feet. Any of those 2-footed landings are pretty difficult because there's not a whole lot of room on that beam for 2 feet side by side. But right there you just saw an acro series, a very popular one, back handspring layout step out, and she did it very well with no wobbles.
There's a beat jump to a straddle half to a tuck jump.
Here we have that front tuck. Very solid. That was great. Oh, and she has such a cute little smile on her face. A round off,
1.5. Way to go.
And she knew that she hit her good routine there. She did a little roll with her arms. I don't know what to call it, but I loved it.
But it's cute. Have Justine Callis here up first for ASU.
Oh, and she takes her starting pose with a little bit of sass. I like it.
Starting with a double pike, solid landing.
second pass a 2.5. That's a very difficult pass as well. She did it very well. She's really showing off her dance capabilities here, including her flexibility.
We see that further in her, wow, definitely in that. Yeah, she does a switch half and into a split all the way on the floor.
Goes to show you just how strong these athletes are, but also how flexible they have to be. And running out the routine with a 1.5 punch layout. Completing that requirement of a 2 salto pass in your routine, where you have 2 flipping elements in 1 tumbling pass.
Great routine for the Sun Devils. We have Mary Corlin Downs on beam for the Gophers.
Lexi Montgomery before her scored a 9.775, which is a great score to build off of for the Gophers.
Mary is an absolutely beautiful beam worker. Watch that skill. That's amazing.
It takes so much flexibility and strength to hold your leg in
Yeah.
that position. I don't think people quite realize that. Maybe try it at home. Try to lift your leg up that high.
Yeah, I can get about a 90-degree angle, so.
A
Great.
very unique
Great.
series there for Mary. She does a side aerial to a back handspring step out. You don't see that very often because it is so difficult.
Yeah, you're going from a side skill straight into a back skill.
And she just completed a great jump series with no wobbles whatsoever, really showing off her flexibility in the air.
Ending with that full turn.
And that is a requirement in every single beam routine. You will see some type of turning element, whether it is up on the beam like Mary did it, or some people will do it in a wolf position down on the beam.
Amazing.
Mary will be very happy with that. Oh, and we have another little roll in. Maybe they're keeping the ball rolling. I don't know.
Is that what that is?
I made it up, but it makes sense.
It does make sense. We'll go with that. And we see that dismount again. Just a very small foot slide.
The Sun Devils started off their floor rotation with a 9.8 from Justine Callis, and here we have Heather Udowich to follow. Starting off with a big double pike. She had a little bit too much rotation, I would say, on that starting pass, and needed to take a big step back. Yeah, she didn't quite control that landing well enough.
Yeah. But a great torchete to Wolfel. And we see her second pass, a Rudy, front handspring Rudy, which means a front 1.5 twist.
Making sure to show off those level changes. As a part of the composition of the routine, you need to have some elements that are up on the floor, dancing around, and then also where you're down lower to the floor. Kind of, it pleases the eye, and it also pleases the judges. And she pulls out a 1.5 to a front pike. It was a little low on that landing. I don't think she quite got the 1.5 around as much as she wanted to, so she really had to work that pike. But she made it around and ended with a good routine.
Yeah. Hit routine for the Sun Devils.
Mary Corlin Downs scored a 9.75 for the Gophers, and here we will see Selena try to keep that ball rolling.
starting here with a back handspring layout step out series. Great landing there.
Very nice full turn. She actually ended on toe, and what I mean by that is her heel did not touch the beam before she stepped forward, and that's actually really crucial for that skill.
Yeah, we might sound nitpicky on some things, but that's where the judges are looking for absolute control in everything, and if they think that something is not even very slightly not controlled, they will deduct for it. So it's up to the gymnast to make sure everything is solid, like that.
Like that.
Yeah.
Exhibit A. Gymnastics is such a detail-oriented sport, and the judges really try to find those deductions as best they can, and so you really have to be perfect in order to get that perfect score.
Wow.
And that was a great routine from Selena Ung.
Yeah.
I saw Jenny Hansen, head coach for the Gophers, just up on her feet with a huge smile, pumping her fist in the air. And if that doesn't show how good of a routine that is, I don't know what would.
Selena has, I think, really grown on this event this past year. She started off being like every once so often in the lineup, but now she's a staple in that lineup, has been hitting routine after routine.
It's really great to see just how much these Gophers grow, and all gymnasts grow throughout their collegiate careers. It's quite amazing, in fact, how much that experience in this type of setting just helps you. Even though you've had all of that experience in club gymnastics prior to coming to college, it's a whole different ballgame.
We have Jess Ginn here on floor for the Sun Devils. A front through to a double back. Babs knows that well.
I loved that pass.
I like this choreography. She's having fun. You can see her teammates on the side doing her dance with her. You know, your teammates see your routine constantly, so they know it
almost as good as you do.
Yeah. So they do the little dance moves with them.
Especially a fun routine like this. This is high energy, and she's really getting into it. I'm really enjoying it. That was a layout to a half.
Making her way back into the corner for her last pass. Shan's here with a double pike. Difficult last pass. You have to have a lot of endurance for that.
She did it well, and she had a great landing on that last pass, too.
Good routine for Jess.
Next on the beam for the Gophers.
Now we have Ivy Liu on the beam for the Gophers.
Before her, Selena Ung posted a 9.85, and let's see if Ivy can build on that.
I think that might be a career high for Selena.
Gearing up for her acro series.
Slight wobble on that. Probably a 10th.
10th, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Oh, and another bobble on her leap series there. Her shoulders are just a little bit too far backwards. You really need to be right over the center of the beam for that. Here's a special skill that's very unique to Ivy. She does a double turn. And I don't think people quite understand how difficult that is to do on the balance beam. It's hard on the floor, even more difficult on the beam. And there we saw another bobble from Ivy. Very uncharacteristic of her. As we said before, she has previously obtained a 10.0 on this event, and I would say that that's not her best effort, but she'll still be happy that she stayed on the beam, and it'll still be a good score for the Gophers.
Yeah. I mean, the Gophers are looking for 6 hit routines. And she did obtain that, though it wasn't to the level of perfection as she has before.
Right. Here we have another look at that dismount, though. Really incredible. She is one of the few gymnasts that I know that really opens out and flares that gainer full dismount.
Yeah.
It's really quite impressive.
We have Caitlin Savrinsky on the floor for ASU. Big first pass, double pike. Oh, just a little bit too much momentum there. But really big height.
Ooh, second pass was a double tuck, and she landed a little bit low and needed to take a couple of steps there.
It's hard on the ankles. But really beautiful leap series right there. Got a torch potato straddle full. Judges are looking for a 180 split on every leap, whether it's a split or a straddle. Big deep breath for her last pass. 1.5 2-way front layout. Really clean. That was good. Cute. Chopped it up.
Chop it up.
We have Sierra Gardner here for the Gophers on beam. Sierra is the only senior in this beam rotation. She's looking to have a great senior night event.
Here we have one of those full turns down on the beam. It's called a wolf turn. It's very difficult, and Sierra has always done that very well. I believe she can actually do a 1.5, if not a double.
Wow. So front aerial straight into her series, back handspring layout. You see she just very slightly off, but she covered it up so well. Into a split stag leap.
Sierra has always been a fierce competitor, and you can especially see that here on the beam. I mean, she brought back that series to make it almost where the judges may or may not take a deduction on it, truthfully.
Yeah.
And a great dismount, too. A small step, and she's keeping it rolling.
Now on the floor for Arizona State, Ann Coon.
Up next, we will see Ann Coombe for the Arizona Sun Devils.
A whip to a double back. Really high double back and great landing.
That was outstanding.
Yeah. I like those whip to double backs and double pikes. 1.5 to a front tuck straight into, what is that called? A stag leap? I'm gonna go with that. Yeah. we just had some nods from Babs saying, I'm not quite sure.
You know, sometimes.
Yeah, we just do it, but we don't know what it is.
Yeah. It's one of those jumps. It's a lot easier when you're in the gym and you can just kind of, do it.
Yeah.
Don't really have to say what it is. And here we will see her last pass. And the symbol for Arizona State is a fork or a trench, kind of. And they actually all have the symbol of Fear the Fork in their routine.
Cute. Great routine from Ann.
That was really fantastic. You can see that international competition experience coming out in that routine. Here we have another gymnast with international experience, Lexi Ramler for the Gophers. At one point, she was ranked #1 in the nation on this event.
Wow. Lexi has really great rhythm to her routine. She dances into most all of her skills.
Very nice series there. Front aerial straight into that wolf jump. No deductions there.
Switch up to this very difficult ring jump because she takes her eyes off the beam. Let's see what she can do here on this dismount.
Very difficult dismount. It's a side aerial into a full twisting layout. And she finds the landing. The Gophers are
10.
so excited for that. They're cheering for a 10. Will we see it today? Let's find out. The judges have been pretty tight here, but maybe we will find some mercy. Up next for the Arizona State Sun Devils, we have Corrine Belkoff. Starting off with a double pike. Her chest was a little low on that landing, but her landing itself was very solid.
Yeah. Into a 1.5 front pike. This is an Ellie Goulding song?
Yeah. I think
Cute.
so.
I like this floor music.
Yeah. It's nice to hear a pop song in kind of a violin tune. Gearing up for her last pass here. One and a half to a layout. Very solid landing.
You see she's allowed to do that layout so her second pass was a 1.5 front pike, and the 1.5 front layout, completely different the last skill, so she is allowed to repeat that 1.5 twist. We have Rachel Cutler here for the Gophers exhibitioning on beam. The Gophers had a really solid beam rotation, along with ASU having a really solid floor rotation, so it's a tight meet here.
It will come down to the last couple of rotations, or last couple routines for both teams. Very nice series for Rachel Cutler. She also has just come into her own this year, just become much more confident on her events, and we'll get to see her on floor as well. A little off on that side aerial, but she manages to stay on the beam.
Good save.
Doing a little bit of what we called matrixing, but not quite as bad as some saves that we've seen. But very solid full turn there.
Split 3/4. You see her back leg wasn't quite up to 180, so that will be a deduction. Gearing up for her dismount here. There's a gainer off the beam. Good landing for Cutler.
Very solid. I can tell that she's happy about it. She's glad to have gotten that experience in that exhibition spot. And Kaya Williams here for the Sun Devils in their exhibition spot.
Another really energetic floor music. Starting with a big double back.
Almost too much momentum. She took a hop backwards, but it was a very great tumbling pass.
Just a 1.5, 2 front layout for her last pass. Solid landing. And a great routine. Her teammates are happy about that one, giving her big hugs.
Yeah. Good way to round out that event for the Sun Devils. And that rounds out the third event for the Gophers and the Sun Devils here. A little bit of a score update. The Sun Devils posted a 49.25 on the floor exercise with standout routines from Ann Coombe with a 9.875 and Caitlin Sospransky with a 9.875 as well.
And we have Lexi Ramler with a standout score from Beam with a 9.95. For the Gophers on Beam, they got a 49.125, and that leaves us with a super tight score for ASU and for the Gophers with a 147.45 from ASU and a 147.3 for the Gophers.
1.5 tenths separate the two teams. That's not a lot in collegiate gymnastics.
Not a lot at all.
Definitely something that could change in this last event. The Gophers have been doing pretty well on floor this season. It's usually one of their top events. And Beam, it's anybody's game. I mean, it can change from week to week. I think overall the Arizona Sun Devils do pretty well on the balance beam.
So for this fourth rotation on the beam for ASU, we have, starting off, Cairo Leonard-Baker, Heather Udowich, Ann Coombe, Morgan Wilson, Ashley Savrinsky, and anchoring Justine Callis.
And for the Gophers on floor, we will see Rachel Cutler start us off, Selena Ung, Lexi Montgomery, Sierra Gardner, Lexi Ramler, and finishing off with Paige Williams. This will be especially special. I get that was funny, but for Sierra Gardner, I mean, this is the last event, and it's her senior night, and we will see how she handles that. But if I know her, she's a fierce competitor, and she will just shine tonight. Make it count.
Make it count. Yeah, might see some tears, but all happy tears. We're going to take a very short break heading into this fourth rotation. Welcome back to the Materi Pavilion. We are heading into our fourth rotation with the Gophers on the floor and ASU on the beam. They're just rounding up their 4-minute touch right now, about 2 minutes left, and the crowd is just getting super pumped for this tight meet.
It's really exciting here in the PAV. We have a lot of great fans here. They're getting into the meet. What a great meet to watch. I hope you guys are enjoying it at home. It's really going to come down to these final routines from both teams, and I'm excited to see how this shakes out.
And it's funny, so ASU's colors are red and yellow, and Gophers is maroon and yellow, so it kind of just looks like this whole place.
Yeah, everybody's cheering for everybody.
Everyone's cheering for everyone.
You really have to look carefully at the T-shirts to see who they're representing
It's
today.
just a gymnastics community.
It is. That's one thing that I do love about this sport is there's a mutual respect amongst all of the gymnasts, and I would say amongst all the coaches and fans and crowds, where you hardly ever hear booing or anything rude from the crowd. I mean, this is really a respectful sport. Everybody knows how hard these athletes have worked to get here, and it's just really a positive environment. It's one of the few, I think, out there where everybody's just so supportive of each other. We can talk a little bit more about what goes into floor routine, perhaps. As we previously mentioned, you have to have those 2 salto passes, so 1 tumbling run with 2 flips. And you also have to have enough difficulty. So those double backs that you see, those all add a couple tenths of bonus. You also need to show your flexibility in those leaps and jumps, such as those switch leaps or the switch sides. It can be a 180 in a true split jump or a 180 in a straddle position as well.
We actually have a tighter meet than said previously. We have a 147.45 for ASU and a 147.4 for the Gophers because Mary Corlin Downs' score got changed to a 9.85.
I thought she had a great routine, so I'm happy to
agree with that.
Hear that they conferenced and elected to bump that score up.
Getting started here with Cairo, the standout freshman from ASU. Starting off with a shuttle jump to a very difficult standing layout step out.
That takes a lot of power.
Yeah.
Which that's difficult to demonstrate on an event like balance beam. But she got it done.
That's fun.
Yeah,
I
a
like
lot
that
of
little
twisting,
transition.
turning.
Yeah.
It's always cool to see what unique ways the gymnast comes up with dancing and getting down on that beam and really showing off their routine.
Great series, super solid. Think she just has her dismount left. A round off, 1.5, stuck. Wow, that was a great lead off routine.
Incredible. As I said, ASU, they don't stumble on that beam. At least Cairo doesn't.
At least Cairo does not. Rachel Cutler here on floor for the Gophers. Rachel has a super fun, sassy, lively routine.
Head coach Jenny Hansen actually posted a video of her 2 little sons dancing to this floor music the other day in her household. I think they request it, in fact, so that just goes to show how fun this routine is and how catchy the music is.
got the crowd clapping along, teammates clapping along. Going into her second pass, a punch Rudy. Just getting geared up for her last pass. I think this is a case where the last pass is the most difficult pass.
Or equally difficult, at least, yeah.
Yeah.
That double back. She actually sticks the landing, but her chest was a little bit low, so there will still be a deduction on that.
But yeah, it doesn't even lunge.
But overall, I mean, she is ecstatic about that floor routine.
Heather Udowich on the beam, looking to keep Cairo's great beam start rolling. Beautiful front aerial into a back handspring.
So that counts as her acro series. It's 2 skills connected, and it actually also counts as her front skill. I really like this routine. She's really taking her time and making sure to show off every single thing. And another front
Great
skill.
kick over front.
It's another difficult landing. It's one of those forward skills, so that means it's blind. You don't see the landing before it happens. You just kind of hope it's there. And again, her feet were together on that landing, so making it even more tough. And a side aerial to full, or a layout full with a great landing. You can tell that she's excited about that.
Yeah, these first 2 beam routines have a lot of skills packed into them.
Definitely. I'm sure they actually have more bonus than they even need.
Yeah.
Which is always encouraging to see. Starting floor score for the Gophers from Rachel Cutler was 9.85, and we will see if Julia Hubert, sophomore here for the Gophers, can keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, I think this is a last-minute lineup change. It looked like Selena Ung was supposed to go second on floor. She may go later in the lineup. We will just have to see. Julia starts with a running punch layout to a front full.
Fulfilling that 2 salto pass and also racking up some bonus. And there we see a wolf turn on the floor from Julia. So we saw the turn from Sierra Gardner on beam, and she actually brought it down to the floor.
Looks like Julia only has 2 passes in her floor routine, so she fulfills her requirements in those 2 passes and additional lead passes.
Oh, and she
We
just
have a
didn't
fall.
quite get that rotation in the 1.5 to make that layout to her feet. So that will be a 5/10 deduction. But otherwise, it was a great floor routine for the sophomore.
Up next on the beam for Arizona State, Ann Kuhn.
We have Ann Kuhn up third on the beam for Arizona State. Really unique mount, shows off that flexibility. Starts off with a series. Just a slight bobble on that. You see her chest was a little bit lower. Beautiful front aerial 2-feet jump.
It's interesting just from watching so much gymnastics in our lifetime. She really has kind of a European flair to her gymnastics. It's very, it's slightly different than what I would consider American gymnastics, but it's really amazing to watch. It's very dance-oriented and exciting and polished.
Ending with a round-off double twist. Really high. Solid routine for Ann. So the Gophers are looking to improve on their third competitor up here on the floor for Lexi Montgomery.
Up next on the floor for the Gophers, Lexi Montgomery.
Lexi's another one of those gymnasts that has a really sassy, fun floor routine. She shows it off with her facial expressions. Has a fun time out there.
She does. It's great to see from a freshman, too. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get used to doing all those facial expressions, and it actually drains you, too. I mean, it takes a lot of energy to do all of those expressions.
Great double pike right there.
Blowing a kiss to the judge there, that was always fun.
Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, can't hurt. Punch layout to front full. Little bent knees on that pass, but otherwise the landing was really well done.
Does that big dive roll. Crowd pleaser.
Gearing up for that last pass. One and a half to a layout. She gets the landing and finishes the routine strong.
Good routine for Lexi. Way to get the Gophers back on track.
Good to see that from a freshman, too.
Yeah. Morgan Wilson on the beam here for ASU. A back handspring back layout series, solid landing.
Oh, a little mistake there. I think she was meaning to connect this leap series.
Into a tuck pull. Hopefully she has enough bonus in the rest of the routine to make up for that small missing connection.
Very solid kick over front into a beat jump. Those little beat jumps may not look like they're very difficult, but they do add bonus when you connect them to a skill like that. And a very solid gainer layout full.
Good landing.
The Sun Devils really look confident up on the beam. They're not rushed to get on and get off. They're just really taking their time and enjoying every moment, making sure they're fighting for every single 10th. It's really great to see.
Yeah. Senior Sarah Gardner here on the floor for the Gophers. Let's see if she can show it off one last time, the Pav.
And that's a Rudy to a layout step out. Very big leap pass there. Huge double tuck from the senior. Great landing. Oh, and she
Wow.
changed it up.
That
I
was
think
new.
that might be a signature skill.
It might. I think it is.
I know she was working on it last year. It's like a tour jeté to the ground. Very difficult and really shows off her flexibility. Very nice routine for the senior.
routine
On
for
senior
the
night,
senior.
she's excited.
Now on the beam for Arizona State, Ashley Safransky.
Up next
Ashley
for...
Sabrinsky.
Yeah.
Sorry, cut you off there.
It's all good. We got it done.
Ashley was, I think, a standout on bars for ASU with those lines. Let's see if she can rack it on beam 2. Great aerial right there. Wow.
That's an incredible skill. That's a back handspring with a
Amazing.
full twist down to the beam. We saw a similar skill from her in her series with a back handspring to the beam, but adding that full twist is very difficult, and especially finding the beam.
Way to go, Ashley. That was a great routine.
Big score from Sierra Gardner with a 9.9 for the Gophers. They're excited about that one. Let's see if freshman Lexi Ramler can build off of that one.
Yeah, Lexi has been a standout on floor for the Gophers.
Just a very consistent competitor.
Beautiful dance. You see her toes are always pointed, legs locked together. Very intense eye contact too, which is fun for the crowd and the judges. Starting off here with a big double pike.
Round
Beautiful.
off. That's a very popular pass, but she does it so well because she keeps her legs perfectly glued together. A lot of times when they're twisting, athletes will sometimes cross their legs over one another, but you don't see that with Lexi Ramler.
Ending here with a double tuck.
Solid landing. Wow. This is a great routine for the freshman.
That'll be a big score.
As you can see, her teammates are just so excited about that. They're pumped up. They're doing their arm rolling.
I don't know what this
I'm
is.
going to have to ask them what that
Yeah.
means. And rounding it out, we have Justine Callis here for the Sun Devils. Oh, a very elegant mount.
Looks like she's gearing up for a triple series.
You were right, Ron.
Wow, that
Handspring,
was
handspring
beautiful.
layout. Impeccable.
Flares out that full turn.
Ooh, little
Just a
bobble
slight
there.
bobble.
Yeah. Just needed to bring it down to the beam a little bit more. absorb that landing a little better.
Wow.
That was super cool. A handspring to her knee.
Ow.
A front handspring on the beam is hard, let alone bringing it to your knee. Very difficult. And I love that strength and flexibility that she just showed there while holding the fear of the fork
While
sign.
holding the fear of the fork.
Gotta have that school pride.
Rounded out with a very difficult dismount. That was awesome.
I'm really amazed by the level of difficulty in these routines by the
Yeah.
Sun Devils. I mean, they are going above and beyond the minimum requirements, and they're crushing their routines.
Yeah, really good beam rotation for the Sun Devils.
Lexi Ramler went 9.9 to follow up Sierra Gardner's 9.9, so maybe we can make it 3 here with Paige Williams for the Gophers.
Paige starts off with a tumbling pass, a front double twist. Wow, that was great. Flares out that 1.5 twist. She gets such height on that.
She does. It's really quite impressive. And it's hard to have that much height and really control it into that layout, but she does it so well. A very nice ending Rudy. That was one of the highest I've ever seen her do.
Yeah.
She really had her chest up high on that landing. Her teammates are excited. The PAV is on their feet. I think this is quite a great meet. It's a nail biter. It's coming down to this last routine.
Coming down to the wire.
It's anybody's game right now.
But ASU finished up their meet with their 6 up on beam. They have their 7th, their exhibition spot coming up right here.
Oh,
Almost.
big bobble, but she manages to
got
stay on the
it.
beam. That's great.
Nice.
Very
Great
nice
series.
series. Big punch front on the beam. Again, that's a very difficult skill.
Gearing up for her dismount right here. Punch off the beam, full.
Very difficult dismount. A
And
small
a
step
nice
on the
hit
landing,
routine.
but she'll be happy to have that experience under her belt. And folks, we will have to wrap it up here pretty quick, but final score for the meet was the Sun Devils with the 196.525, and the Gophers edging them out with the 196.675. So a very big way for the Gophers to send off their seniors here on senior night at the home PAV.
Yeah, what an amazing meet. I think both teams should be very proud of themselves. I don't think we saw a fall tonight from either. Sorry, we saw one on floor.
One on floor,
from
that's
the
correct.
Gophers, yeah.
But this was an outstanding meet. The crowd was great. We were just happy to be here. And Babs and Ronnie signing off for
One
the last time. It's
Yeah.
been great having you guys. Tune in next year as the Gophers keep rolling.
Thanks for listening. Have a good Saturday.